Hello guys, welcome back to the channel. Let's do a Champions League predictions now. We will be going through using this website to do the next 2 rounds of the Champions League, and then we're going to do the knockout rounds of the Champions League as well. I'm going to go through the whole of that with you. But let's talk about some results here in this bit of the video, and then we'll move on to the knockouts. I think Atalanta beat Sturm Graz there. I think Villa are going to get beat by Monaco. Liverpool easily beating Lille. You know, nothing stopping them right now. Atletico by Leverkusen drawing 2-2. Exciting. You know what? I think Leverkusen win the game 3-2. To be honest, Barcelona winning their game against Benfica. With a nice. You know what? I think Benfica will get 2 goals actually. You know, give them some bit of credit there. Juventus winning their game against Bruges 2-0. Red Star Belgrade to get one over PSV. Bologna to get beaten by Dortmund. Yeah, Stuttgart winning that game. Leipzig pointlessly winning their game against Sporting. Now out of the Champions League now, it doesn't matter for them. And then PSG beating Man City, putting City in a bit of a dangerous zone. We'll wait and see how that takes effect. Yeah, Arsenal beating Zagreb, Celtic beating Young Boys, Feyenoord getting beat by Bayern Munich, and then Inter Milan beating Sparta Prague. Put City, oh my, just on the edge of survival. We'll wait and see if they do survive. Obviously, Dinamo Zagreb or PSV Eindhoven have to win their game, or Red Star Belgrade have to win their game to knock City out if they do not win their final game, which we will get to now. Okay, Bayern Munich beat Slovan Bratislava in their final game. Dortmund beating Shakhtar. Barcelona beating Atalanta. Inter Milan beating Monaco. A 1-1 draw between Bruges and Man City. Leverkusen beating Sparta Prague. Juventus beating Benfica. Dinamo Zagreb getting their win. Lille beating Feyenoord. PSV getting beat by, oh my god, by Liverpool. Salzburg drawing with Atletico. Sporting beating Bologna. Crescevenda winning their game 3-1 against Young Boys. Aston Villa beating Celtic. Girona getting beat there. Yep. Stade Brest beating Real Madrid in their game. Sturm Graz getting beat by Leipzig, and then Stuttgart drawing with PSG. Calculated table, that leaves us with Liverpool, Barcelona, Arsenal, Bayer Leverkusen, Inter Milan, Stade Brest, Bayern Munich and Dortmund finishing inside the top 8 of the Champions League there, obviously with a perfect record. Liverpool there, Juventus, Aston Villa, Lille, AC Milan, Atalanta, Atletico Madrid, Sporting, Monaco, Real Madrid, Celtic, PSG, Stuttgart, Club Brugge, Dinamo Zagreb, Benfica and Feyenoord all make it through to the next round. The City get knocked out, Red Star knocked out, PSV knocked out, Leipzig knocked out, Shakhtar knocked out, Spartan, Salzburg, Sturm Graz, Girona, Bologna, Slovan Bratislava and Young Boys both finishing without a single bit of points on the board. And we'll get to the final bit of predictions now, as we're going to see who plays who, because all the brackets are set up and how it works. I'm going to get to that in this next bit now, which you'll see. And here are the fixtures that have come up now in the Champions League for this next stage, for the knockout phase. The way it works is as in, like, the teams that finished 9th and 10th play the teams that finished 23rd and 24th, and it kind of like works its way up into the middle like that. And then we'll get to the next bit in a second, but obviously Juventus versus Benfica is that first game that we see coming up here. Feyenoord versus Aston Villa, Lille versus Zagreb, AC Milan versus Bruges, Stuttgart versus Atalanta, PSG versus Atletico Madrid, Celtic versus Monaco and Sporting versus Real Madrid. Some interesting fixtures here for definite. Let's get into just talking about how these fixtures come up. Obviously, here we are with the fixtures again. Starting with our first game, Juventus Benfica, and I do think Juventus draw a lot of games. Juventus aren't a massive goal scorer in this team this year, so I do think Benfica get the better of them for just narrow margins of very tight games. And then Villa and Feyenoord play each other, and I think Villa walk over it. It's an Unai Emery competition. This is Unai Emery's bread and butter, and I think they'll walk over Feyenoord with no issues at all. Lille Zagreb. Lille, a very good team, very fierce, and I think they're going to absolutely walk over Zagreb 7-2 in aggregate there. AC Milan Bruges, you see AC Milan winning that home game but then struggling away, but AC Milan going through on the fixtures. Going on to that Stuttgart and Atalanta game. Stuttgart getting a draw with Atalanta in that first tie, but in the reverse fixture, when it's in Atalanta, Atalanta taking the biscuit and taking it all the way home. PSG versus Atletico Madrid. We see the Dark Arts win. The Dark Arts win in Paris. It's a draw, but away in Madrid. They not get the result, 1-0, easy stuff. And then Celtic Monaco, I think Monaco win both games 3-0 and knock Celtic right out of the Champions League. And then finally Sporting Real Madrid. Sporting Real in that first game, but absolutely getting smashed by Real Madrid in that second game. Meaning the next set of fixtures that we see coming through are Benfica versus Bayern Munich, Aston Villa versus Borussia Dortmund, Lille versus Inter, AC Milan versus Brest, Atalanta Leverkusen, Atletico Madrid versus Arsenal, Monaco and Barcelona, and then Real Madrid Liverpool. And a huge fixture that is. Going into that first game where Benfica versus Bayern Munich, Benfica getting a result in the first game, but Bayern Munich walking away with the result in the end on aggregate 4-2. Aston Villa Dortmund. Aston Villa with a great first game at Villa Park, losing the second game, going through 3-2 into the quarterfinals of the Champions League. Lille and Inter having a really tight game, but Inter coming on top in the end. AC Milan and Brest, it's a back and forth type of game, and Brest go through over AC Milan. And then Atalanta versus Leverkusen, we see Atalanta win that first game and they manage to get a draw in Leverkusen, meaning it's a 5-4 win for them. Arsenal and Atletico Madrid, the Dark Arts, both good at the Dark Arts, but Atletico Madrid and Simeone, they're the masters of the Dark Arts, so obviously they'll go through against Arsenal there. And then Monaco, Barcelona, Monaco getting a result in the first game, but nothing in the second game. Barcelona showing why they are Barcelona, winning the game 4-2, and then Real Madrid, Liverpool, two absolute European heavyweights, and Real Madrid going through 5-4 on aggregate. I thought Real Madrid tried making a comeback, but they just couldn't do it. Meaning, in the next round, into the quarterfinals, we see Bayern versus Real Madrid, Atletico versus Barcelona, Brest versus Aston Villa, and Atalanta versus Inter Milan. A very mixed bag of games here. Obviously, we're seeing an all-Spanish game here as well. Atletico Madrid versus Barcelona, and an all-Italian game with Atalanta versus Inter Milan. Meaning we'll see what we'll see. There's definitely a Spanish team in the semi-finals. There's definitely an Italian team in the semi-finals. Starting with that Real Madrid Bayern game, seeing as a Spanish team gets into the semi-final being Real Madrid, and then another Spanish team getting in there, we're going to see Barcelona and Atletico actually draw on aggregate, and then Atletico just go through 3-0 on penalties, meaning it's a Madrid derby for the semi-final of the Champions League. Brest versus Aston Villa. Brest have shown a good performance, but Villa edge through a massive win at Villa Park, meaning Villa gets the semi-final of the Champions League under Unai Emery. Atalanta now versus Inter Milan. Atalanta in the first game, winning the first game, but Inter Milan showing their European dominance over the past couple of years and beating Atalanta, meaning we set up with a semi-final of Real Madrid versus Atletico Madrid and Aston Villa versus Inter Milan. It's an interesting setup. It is an interesting setup indeed. Real Madrid win that first game 3-0 against Atletico, meaning they secure their place in the Champions League final. And Inter Milan having a shake-up in that first game. Villa win the first game 1-0 and trying to hold it, but then going to the San Siro, it's a big place to play, and Inter Milan showing it's a big place to play. And then the final, that means it sets up the final, Real Madrid versus Inter Milan, and Inter Milan, no messing around this time, winning the game 1-0. Inter Milan, champions of Europe. That is my predictions. We'll do this again when the round of 16 is done. When the league phase is done, and we'll do that again in a month. But that's my predictions right now. Is Inter Milan winning the Champions League? Interesting.